We will not allow any attempts to water down our proposal or to postpone any response or discussion indefinitely through call to draw the European Union into this process. So, if there will be no constructive response and the West persists in its aggressive policy, as the President has said, we will take appropriate measures.
Let's go to Massachusetts and the United States and speak to Dmitry Gorenburg, who's a senior research scientist at CNA. It's a non-profit research and analysis organization. Dmitry, thanks so much indeed for your time. You know, I mean, diplomatic language is one thing, but there was that phrase from Sergey Lavrov, we will not allow any attempts to water down our proposal. And in fact, the Americans have responded and said, look, if Kiev wants to join NATO one day, it will.
That's right. It's been clear all along that the United States isn't going to accept the full range of Russian demands. So I'm afraid that the diplomatic process is at a bit of an impasse in that way.
What about, I mean, okay, the Americans have said, Blinken said, and I presume NATO is going to do the same, that they're not actually going to make their written responses public because they want to allow diplomacy a chance to succeed. But NATO has been saying for weeks now that, look, our core principles are our core principles. We're an open organization in terms of open door policy to allow new members to join. But we have areas where we completely understand Russia has concerns and we're prepared to address those. I mean, do you think Moscow will be able to move forward with some of those areas?
I think they could if they wanted to, but I'm frankly pessimistic. I think if they had wanted to move forward on a strategic stability kind of dialogue, which is essentially what the U.S. and NATO have been offering, they could have done that all along without this military buildup. I just, to my mind, the diplomatic back and forth over the last couple of months is in some ways potentially just a cover for for Russia to sort of say, look, we tried diplomacy, and the West wasn't willing to engage.
If that's the case, what is Moscow's next move? I mean, a few hours ago, the U.S. Embassy in Kiev urged American nationals in Ukraine to leave the country.
Yes, I'm increasingly concerned that the next step will be a military one in Ukraine. I think not in the next days, but more likely in weeks. But nonetheless, there are still potential off ramps, but I think the situation is increasingly pessimistic in that way.
Yeah, we've had the responses. We'll wait to see what the Russians say once they've digested the information. But do you not feel as if Vladimir Putin is almost calling the shots here because of the continuing insistence? 24 hours ago, we heard President Biden and also the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson repeat what almost every single Western leader has said. Our troops are not going to be on the ground, certainly not combat troops. They are not going to be in Ukraine.
Well, you can say that Putin is calling the shots in the sense that, I mean, this is a crisis that has largely been manufactured by Russia, so the West has been reacting to it. So in that sense, I suppose Putin is kind of setting the agenda. But I think what the West has been doing is quite logical in that they've been trying to spell out the potential for high costs for Russia should an invasion go ahead in some way. And so I think that they don't want to create, the Western leaders don't want to create false expectations on the part of Ukraine either, that would then not be fulfilled. And I think it's quite clear that neither Washington nor the major EU and NATO capitals are willing to actually commit their military to fight for Ukraine. And so that's where we are. That's just the reality of the situation, is that Ukraine, in a military sense, is going to have to fight on its own. Now NATO is providing assistance of various kinds. How helpful that will be, we'll see. I'm not sure that it's enough in the short term anyway.
Dmitry, really appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed for the analysis. Dmitry Gorenberg from CNA, speaking from Massachusetts. Take care.